job still ain't gonna find lets me in!
Chronicles of Nerds here. This is Mikey, Cole behind the camera. Brandon will probably be here soon, but we're here.
I can't work without Brandon. Yeah. He's my favorite, really.
Where are my people slamming in?
We're with the drummer of Anti-Flag, Pat Thetic, over here.
Hello, nice to see you all.
And so you guys are here in Portland, Oregon tonight?
We are, and amazingly enough, it's raining. Can you believe that?
In Portland? No.
Inconceivable.
It never happens.
Well, we were just in Omaha, Nebraska, and it was cold as shit. I don't know where this is being played. Can I say shit?
It's YouTube and our website.
Okay, so I gotta say fucking shit and all that.
Yeah,
so it's cold as fuck in Omaha, Nebraska, and the snow was very high, and I was walking back to the bus and I was shivering and being very angry at the world.
Yeah.
So this is much better. I'll take a little bit of rain for right now, for sure.
You were actually one of the original members of
I
NFL,
am.
right?
I'm an OM, original member.
So you've been with it since '88?
Yes. Once Andy left, the original bass player, the counting of how long we've been a band changed drastically. So I'm an original member, and I've been playing drums for way too long. I should be a banker or something like that, do something more important with my life.
Oh, whatever. You know, that actually kind of brings me to one of my things. In a lot of ways, you guys are kind of what the hippies were in the 60s and 70s as far as political movement. You guys are kind of big pioneers in a lot of cultural revolutions that are kind of going on amongst our generation. And, you know, what does the political movement to you guys really mean? I mean,
well, it's interesting. There's a number of things that I would like to touch on with that. We were created in an era when nobody cared about music and nobody was worried about it. And between like 89 and 97, 98, nobody cared about music at all, especially punk rock music. So we created a vision of punk rock and a vision of activism. We brought in a lot of different elements to this punk rock thing that weren't there as much in other places. And because nobody cared about it, we were able to create it in our own image and create it in our own world. It wasn't about whether we could find, whether the radio would play our music, because we never thought any radio would ever play what we were doing. It wasn't even a thought for us. Now, as punk rock is becoming less interesting to popular culture, we are getting into a world where that is going to happen again, where kids are in basements now hearing activism and hearing music, and they're going to start putting it together in a world where nobody cares about whether they can book a show, nobody cares about whether MTV or whatever, Fuse or whatever the cool thing is right now. So they're going to create music again in a very pure and organic way, and activism and culture in a pure and organic way that is going to be amazing in 5 years, 10 years. But right now it's just in the basements, it's just percolating, and I think that's what we were doing back then. The idea of treating somebody with respect and not worrying about what their sexual preference is, that came from us being in a basement and being like, hey, my friend's gay, my friend's a transgendered person, you know, my friend's black or what, a Hispanic, doesn't matter. We're all here in the basement having a show. We can't believe that this is a problem for people outside of this. And then you get out and you go and play a show in Texas and you're like, holy shit, where's all this racism and creepy shit coming from? You're like, that's not what we understood as our community back then, so we really can't understand it now out in the bigger world. Much like you guys, the nerds, if we want to call them nerds, if we get broad stroke nerds, they were successful because nobody was paying attention to them. They were doing amazing things in their own world, and now people are like, holy shit, we didn't know they were doing this cool stuff, and now they're like, yeah, we're doing all this cool stuff, and
everybody has a Mac now.
Yeah,
everybody,
exactly.
You know, has all the gadgets.
And there's people doing zines and stuff like that, and the people who are successful now were in a basement, you know, 10, 15 years ago, creating something that nobody else cared about then, and now people care about it. So the moral of that story is, get in your basement, don't worry about what your friends are doing, get in your basement and create something interesting.
No,
because in 10, 15 years it'll be cool.
The funny thing about that is we do most of our stuff outside of, or inside of my basement.
There you go, there you go. Basements are where all good things come from.
I guess kind of talk a little bit about the tour that's going on right now.
Yeah, we're out with Aiden and the Cancer Bats, and then some other bands are coming in and out as we go through. And we're also trying to get some local bands to play, because again, when we were younger, bands would come through and they would throw a local band on and we would get a show, and that's a way for young bands to, you know, get a chance to play bigger shows. The tour is called The Economy Sucks, or The Economy is Suffering, and it's true because none of us have any money. I talked to my friends are losing their jobs, and we're like, well, you know, we're gonna go out, and we realize we're trying to keep the ticket price low. We're trying to go into some small rooms, so it's not as not a big extravagant tour. We're trying to, people who want to come out to a rock show and be around people who are also frustrated with what's going on in the world can come together and talk about those issues. And we also have PETA out, and we have Amnesty International out.
What are some of the things that you're nerdy about?
I'm nerdy about goldfish.
Goldfish?
Boy, yes. Being a guy who's been on tour for the last 15 years of his life, it's very difficult to have pets that don't die and don't need somebody else to babysit them. So I've gotten interested in koi and goldfish. In the back of my house, I dug a pond by hand, and actually right now they're frozen over. They're down at the bottom, sort of waiting for the weather to get warm. And yeah, I go home, and in the spring, once they start to, their metabolism starts to pick up when the weather gets warmer, and I hand feed them, and I really, yeah, that's
actually really cool. I've never
really
heard anybody say that.
Yeah.
Well, that is really cool.
It's actually interesting because I actually dug my own koi pond about 3 years ago.
Ah, brilliant! You know what it's about then.
Except for the raccoons in Oregon, they come and they eat the koi.
Yeah.
See, it's funny because when it snows at my house, I never see the animal, but every time it snows, I see little footprints going back and forth around the edge of it. And I dug it deep enough that I guess the raccoons are not, they can't get their hands down far enough to get the...
Even in the city, there's raccoons here in Portland.
Well, yeah, we have raccoons in Pittsburgh too.
Is there anybody else in the band like that's nerdy about like kind of weird things, or just big nerds about
number 2 obviously likes hockey, which is, yeah, pretty lame. But Justin... he does collect some Pee Wee Herman things.
Really?
He's a big Pee Wee Herman fan. Yeah, has a lot of dolls and stuff. He keeps telling me that someday they're going to be worth a lot of money. He may be right. I don't know. They haven't been worth a lot of money yet.
Paul Rubens has done enough to ruin his career. Then they're not going to be worth anything.
Head's actually into this is sort of lame. He's into cars. He enjoys a fast car, and yeah. So the joke in anti-flag land is that if he ever gets a car that is that cool, that I'm gonna key the side of it just to bring him back down to the punk rock levels.
All right, well, definitely thank you for the interview.
Brilliant.
Is there anything you'd like to throw in?
Well, I did just really quickly. We do have Amnesty International and PETA out here, and I've been vegan for the last 5 years or so, and vegetarian for a long time before that. So it's good that they're out here giving those ideas to young people, and obviously not forcing anybody to make those choices, but giving them information saying this is a choice that you might be interested in. And also Amnesty International, we're working on a program with them about illegal immigrants coming into the States, and a lot of them are being put into prisons that are maximum security prisons and things like that, which isn't good for the immigrants who are coming in because they're just looking for a better way, a better place to live. It's not good for Americans because we're spending way too much money to keep them in these high security facilities. So we're trying to make people aware that this is an issue, and hopefully we can figure out a better way, a better strategy of dealing with people who come into the country and get arrested, and then if they're non-violent, they shouldn't be put in with violent people. With my theory. So that's what we're working on with Amnesty International. So between those things, obviously making people aware that animals shouldn't be food, at least in my point of view.
Yeah.
And that people are always taken care of no matter where they're born is the important things.
Oh, that's great.
Hi, I'm Thetic from a band called Anti-Flag, and you're watching the Chronicles of the Nerds.
You're not a nerd. Fuck you.